People of YouTube, thank you so much for checking out my video. Today we're going to be looking at part number 2 for my series on the number system and how to start if you are a brand new beginner. If you missed part 1, I'll link it up here in the top and you can go watch that so you have an idea of what we're doing. But if you've already watched that, then let's get to it. So in the part 1 video, we talked about how we come up with a number system in the first place, how we get 7 different notes from the major scale. In the last lesson, I just talked about playing it like this. Or a different fingering if you prefer this one. But either way, we're going from string to string. You can also play this, not as quickly, but it's important to know it this way as well. So you can play it like this. Right? And you can learn that on any string. You know, as long as you know your starting point. And this whole video and the last one were in the key of G for our example. So this one's going to be, you can find any G that you want. If there's a G here, you can play it here. So it's important that you learn this scale, both changing from string to string and up the fretboard on just one string. And that becomes really important when you're doing chords, which is what we're mainly going to talk about today. There are certain chords that are generally associated with each number. This is all just beginner rules. So in music, there really is no rules. You can break any rule you want and make it your own. But at the very beginning, it's good to understand what most music comes from. At least most Western music. If you remember from part 1 how to count up to find certain numbers, then this is going to be super easy to be able to find the chord that's associated with that. Numbers 1, 4, and 5 are typically major chords. Since we're in the key of G, our 1 chord is going to be G. So a 1 is typically a major, so we have G major. It's our 1. To find 4, which is also a major, we just have to count up the scale. So you can do that the 2 different ways I described at the beginning of the video. You can count up this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's our 4 note. And it's a major, so you can play it just like you did G major. That's a C major, right there. But it's the same fingering, same bar chord as our G chord. And then to find our 5, we just count up that way as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a D note. So right here we're going to have D major. Right? So 1, 4, and 5 are major chords. G major, that's C major, and that's D major. Now you can also play them a different way, so you don't have to move up the neck every time. You can play them this way, the G is still right here. You can play a C like this. I typically just lay this finger down and bar all 3 of those notes on the 5th fret on the D, G, and B strings. And then you can do the same thing up here on the D note right here. Just move that whole shape up a whole step. And once again, to find those, you just count up. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our C. And then that's our 4, so this is our 5. Right. So just to stress from the previous video, you just have to know that major scale in order for this system to work at all. Numbers 2, 3, and 6 are typically minor chords. We find it just like we did the other chords. You just count up the scale, and when you get to that number, as you know, in basic music, it's going to be a minor chord. So if we're in G, that's our 1, because that's the key we're in. So 2 is just our second note. 1, 2. That's an A note, right? So 2s are minor, so we have A minor. Right? A 3 is a minor. So we have 1, 2, 3. Right there. So it's a B minor. And then our 6 is typically a minor. So once again, count up the scale. That's a 6 right there. So that E note, that's going to be a minor, an E minor. But now you can also count down as well. Remember that. So from any G that you find, you can count down. So this is a 1, 7, 6. Okay? So that's important down here as well, because if this is a 1, this is a 7 right below it, and this is an E. So you can get an E minor right here. And you don't have to go all the way up here. There's another way you can make these. Say, in the case of that E minor, if you don't know your chords already, then you can find the note you want. In this case, it's an E, so just count up your scale if you don't know it, but it's the 6th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right here on this E, you can do it like this. And you can do the same thing to the other minor chords as well. The A minor, find your A, which in this case I'm just going to play an open A. You can make that same chord down here. And for the B minor, you just move it up to the B. Most of these chords are pretty basic, and you usually learn them right away as soon as you're learning guitar. But they're good to know still. I use them all the time. But there are fancier chords, which we will get into in a later part in this series. But for now, let's just stick with these. A lot of songs use the 1, 4, 5, and 6. That's your, if you were going to pick 4 chords for basic music you hear on the radio all the time, that's your 4 chords. Number 7 is a weird one. It's a diminished chord, and it's rarely just held onto like a chord that you're strumming in a song, right? It just, you don't want to do it typically. Not in mainstream music. But it is great to know, and it's good for passing chords, and that obviously, if you don't know what a passing chord is, you're literally going from one chord to the next, and on your way, you're grabbing this diminished chord. Right? You're just playing it, and it's a passing chord on your way to somewhere else. So it works good for that. It just has a lot of tension with it, so it's not something you just want to hold on to. But when this chord is needed, this is the way I usually play it. So if we remember our scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a 7 note, right? So if you know where your 1 is, it's right below it. And I play it like this. I grab that with my pinky on the 4th fret on the D string, 2nd fret on the G string, and then 1st fret on the B string. The chord has so much tension as it is that I normally don't play it with all 6 strings, just strumming a chord like you would a G major. Because that's so much information, and it can just get all jumbled together because the chords have so much dissonance with one another. But it sounds like this. So, as you can see, you probably don't want to... I mean, you can, but in Western music, we usually don't. And you may be asking, well, now why can't I just, strum that for the whole verse of a song.
You right to jail. Believe it or not, jail right away.
There's another way you can play it though. If you work your way up the scale, my two basic ways are like I just showed. This one, and then if you go up the scale this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is right here. You just use this 7. It's the same note. There's a 7 right here. So you can also play it like this. That's the 9th fret on the A string. We have the 10th fret on the D string. And then I jump down and get the 10th fret on the B string. So just those 3 notes. I typically just skip over the G. You can play it this way and grab that G on the 11th fret with your pinky. Grab that G string right there. So you're basically just hitting this note, it's the same note. You're just hitting that twice. But you can also play it this way. Even with this fingering, I wouldn't just strum on it. So that's not too bad. Well, there you have it. That is how you get the different chords to each number in the number system, right? So it's pretty simple once you learn that major scale and associate the certain numbers with each note of the major scale. And then once you know which numbers are what kind of chord, whether it be major, minor, or diminished, then you know what to play. So if you're in the key of G, and someone says, hey, go to the 4 chord, it's easy. You know 4s are typically major, and you just count up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as long as you know what the 4th note of that scale is, and you know to play a major chord, if they say, hey, go to the 6, they don't have to tell you whether it's major or minor, because in general terms, a 6 is going to be a minor. So if you're in G, and they say, hey, go to the 6, you just know it's an E, and 6s are minors, so it's an E minor. So you'll get to where you just know those like the back of your hand, and anytime someone calls something out, you'll be able to go there. Remember that eventually all of these rules can be broken. We can play majors instead of minors, and minors where majors are supposed to be. But as far as a general rule in mainstream modern day music, this is your guide. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and hit that subscribe button, and go ahead and hit that like button. Just hit that thumbs up, just destroy it, just smash it. And stay tuned for more videos in this series where we'll be diving deeper and deeper into the number system and how it can make you a more well-rounded musician. See you next time.